the information for you that I was referring to the other night in the comments at the end of Mr. Slotch's presentation. I've got a copy of the 1981 memorandum to the governor for your reference. I have a letter here which I won't read, and some additional information on the lease and the lease acreage in Chenango County and the people who want to lease in Chenango County. I have a map of that, and an article regarding Norse Energy and their reserves in Chenango County. The article says that as of the middle of August, a third party did an inventory of Norse's resources. Norse has approximately as much acreage as the landowner coalitions have in the county. And Norse's acreage has been estimated and certified as to having almost 1,000 million barrels of oil equivalent of gas. And so the coalition that is not leased to Norse or any other company has as much or greater than land intermixed with Norse's land. So it's not like it's in a different area, it's completely interspersed. And so our acreage necessarily thereby is almost 1 billion barrel of oil equivalent of gas reserves underneath our ground. So, and I did mention this to the village board last night, in considering that, you must know that any exposure to lawsuit, I mean, when we're talking numbers that big, there will be exposure and there will be ramifications if any development is stopped. So I'll leave those with you. And then I did want to speak a little bit about what this woman was just commenting about, and that's basically land use and the rural nature of our area. I am a former realtor, a former real property appraiser. I've looked at land use my entire life. And I would like you to consider the fact that zoning out gas development would actually be a very short-sighted policy with regard to land use. One thing that we know is that if we are a large property owner, say a farmer on the edge of the village or town, and if you cannot develop your mineral resources from under the ground, what you would want to do, possibly to pay your tax bill, would be to find some other way to recoup some kind of money from your acreage that you owe property taxes on. And one way that we've seen traditionally being done is you log it, you might quarry it, whatever. Quarry is a blot on the landscape for a long time. We've also seen properties, large farms, subdivided. And when farmers come right up against it and it's a choice of saving the farm or not, they will subdivide the land. So what you're going to get then is this residential housing development. Now, in all of my life, which I've been doing this all of my life, I've seen residential development. My parents developed my grandfather's farm in Pennsylvania when I was a kid. And I'll tell you, once an area is developed for residential or for strip malls or whatever, like we see outside of Cooperstown, for instance, there's no McDonald's allowed in Cooperstown, no fast food, no other hotels or whatever. So that whole corridor between Oneonta and Cooperstown, back when I was a realtor, I saw that, watched that go from farmland to completely, little businesses and entertainment, recreation, and also residential. Once land is developed for residential, it never, ever, ever reverts to farmland or to forest land. It's always going to be developed land. And then you're going to get the ancillary, the pavement, the blacktop, the drainage ditches, the impervious surfaces where the rain cannot, drain back into the earth. Now, if you have a gas well on a property, you can still use that same pasture to, for grazing animals, for cutting hay, for growing a crop. You could still use that land for agricultural use. There is an ancillary use, but once it's developed, and which will happen if farmers are not allowed to utilize their underground resource, there will be development, surface development, that will never go away. And that's forever. A gas well has a finite lifetime. The development takes about a month when you have the big rig there and the lights. Then that's gone and you have a pad there for the life of the well, which may be 30, 40, 50 years, but eventually it's reclaimed land and it will just be agricultural land again. So I'd like you to consider that, because I think a lot of planning departments see, they hear it's an industrial use, and it's not a factory that's going to make widgets until there's no market for widgets and then be abandoned. It's a use that goes along with the agricultural use. Thank you.